The biggest mistake on your first refurb isn't choosing the wrong kitchen or bathroom. It's not knowing how refurbs actually work, and that's where most first-time landlords lose money. We've done over 100 refurbs in the last 18 months alone, and I keep seeing the same mistakes. So in this video, I'll show you how to find the right builder, what costs to look out for, and how to avoid getting ripped off. To start, let me show you the most important part of the process, because if you don't get this part right, it doesn't matter how good the deal looks on paper, you will lose money. So when I first started investing in property, I was just like most beginners, trying to figure out things as I went along. I used to spend hours in Facebook groups and went to networking events asking people what they were struggling with. And 9 times out of 10, the answer was the same: builders and refurbs. They weren't struggling with finding deals, they weren't struggling with the finances, they were struggling to find reliable builders and manage refurbs without things going wrong. And at the time, I'll be honest, I didn't really get it. I thought, how hard can it be? You hire someone, they do the work, job done. But after doing hundreds of refurbs through my company Talking Houses, I can tell you they weren't exaggerating. Because if you get this part wrong, it doesn't just delay your project, it'll eat into your profits, it can drag on for weeks or even months and can completely change the way you feel about property. I've seen plenty of first-time landlords lose 10k, 20k, not because the deal was bad, but because they lost control of the refurb. And once that confidence goes, most people don't buy the second property. So the first thing people get stuck on is this: do you hire individual trades to save money, or do you hire one main contractor? On paper, managing trades yourself looks cheaper, but in reality, you're becoming the project manager. You're managing electricians, plumbers, plasterers, everyone. And if it's your first refurb, you don't even know what you don't know. That's where most mistakes happen, because they underestimate how mentally demanding it actually is. In my experience, unless you're already in the building trade yourself or have some experience in it, hiring one main contractor makes far more sense. They manage their own subcontractors, they act as the site manager, and it massively reduces your time and your exposure to mistakes. Are they going to be perfect? Absolutely not, but you're paying for making your life easier. Now the second question is, how do you actually find these builders? There are 4 main ways that we've always used. You can start with online platforms like Check a Trade, Rated People, or My Builder. They're free to browse and let you see reviews and past work. I'd look for at least 20 solid reviews before I'd consider reaching out to them. Second is recommendations. If someone you trust has used a builder and you can physically see their work, then that's a really good option because you can sort of verify them. Recommendations are how we find 90% of our builders we work with, so it's my personal favorite. Third, local Facebook investor groups. If you just post in the area you're buying in and ask for recommendations, you'll usually get tagged into a few options. Final one, which is slightly under the radar, is builders merchants. Now, builders, they're leaving cards there all the time, and merchants know who's busy and who's reliable, so that's another option for you. Just make sure they have public and professional liability insurance, the right qualifications like gas safe or NICEIC, and can issue proper certificates for gas, electrics, or damp work. But even with the right builder in place, most new investors still struggle to estimate what a refurb costs, and this is where your budget can vanish quickly. Now, the thing about buying a property is that most of the costs will be fixed, but the problem with a refurb is that it's not, and that's the risky part. Because a refurb can be anything from £5,000 to £40,000, or even sometimes £100,000, and that difference is what makes or breaks your deal. Now, here's what you need to understand. Just because a property looks tired, it doesn't mean it needs a full renovation. This property I bought only needed minor works, new carpets, paint, and a quick refresh, just under £5,000. That deal worked because I didn't overdo it, I just did what the property needed. The latest property I purchased cost £37,000 to refurb. That was the full works: new kitchen, new bathroom, new boiler, replastered the whole house, new flooring, rewire, everything. And this is why it's hard to predict a refurb cost, because it all depends on the property. Later on in this video, I'll show you a full refurb breakdown so you know exactly what to expect. But for now, here's how to get a realistic idea of what yours will cost. First thing is to get at least 3 quotes, especially when you're starting out. And when you do get a quote, be clear on your spec. Walk around the property with the builder and agree exactly what's being replaced, what's being repaired, and what level of finish you want. Because if your spec is vague, your quote will be vague, and that's where problems start. Then what you want to do is make sure the quote is fully itemized, labeled, labor, materials, room by room costs. So that way you can compare it properly, because if it's just one big number, you don't have much control. Also, this one's worth saying, don't just always pick the cheapest quote. The reality is builders are in demand and the good ones are usually busy. If someone is a lot cheaper or available straight away, that should raise some questions. And the final thing is, whatever quote you get, just add a 15% contingency. You might not need it, but it protects you from nasty surprises later on. Now, finding a good builder and agreeing a price is one thing, but keeping the refurb on track and not getting ripped off later on is another. So let me tell you how we got ripped off and what we changed to make sure it never happened again. So towards the middle of 2023, our business was growing quickly, and up until that point, we'd always worked with the same trusted builders, people we'd built relationships with over years. But as we took on more projects, we had to bring in new build teams for the very first time. The mistake we made was treating those new builders the same as our long-term ones, too informal and too relaxed. Because when things go wrong on a refurb, it causes delays and eats into your profit. In our case, we had to invest over £100,000 of our own money to fix the issues caused by the new builders. And that hurt, not just financially, but personally and reputationally. Builders started cutting corners, some of them disappeared mid-job, invoices started coming in higher than agreed, delays started to stack up, and then rightly so, our clients started to complain. In some cases, we had to redo the work completely. It became a nightmare to manage, and that's when we realized something very important, that you need to have structures in place no matter what. From that point on, everything changed and we put proper systems in place. So here's what we do now on every single refurb and what you should do so you don't end up in the same position as us. First thing, always use a proper contract. Everything must be written down. The full itemized schedule of works, the agreed payment stages, timelines, and all signed before any work starts. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. Then the second thing you want to remember is how you pay builders. Always use stage payments and always pay in arrears. That means you only pay once a phase of work is completed, never pay up front, and always hold back at least 15% until everything is finished properly. If anything changes during the build, and something usually does, the variations must be priced and agreed in writing before the work starts. No verbal agreements, because that's where we went wrong. Next is don't release the final payment until you have everything in your hands. Gas certificates, electric certificates, building control signed off if needed, warranties, guaranteed, invoices, everything. Because once you've paid the final balance, your leverage disappears. If you follow these 4 things, you won't end up losing 6 figures like we did, and you'll give yourself a much better chance of finishing your refurb on time. But once the refurb is finished, there's one last thing you need to do, and if you skip it, everything you've just worked for could go to waste. Because this is a stage where most people switch off, think the job's done, and now want to rent the property out. And fair enough, we all want to start making money, right? But this is where small problems get missed, and small problems turn into expensive ones later on. And that thing is called snagging. Now, snagging just means going through the property and checking for faults or anything that hasn't been finished properly before you release the final payment. Because once you pay the builder in full, he might not come back, and we always snag in 3 stages. First, just after first fix and plastering is complete. Second is once the property is fully finished, the kitchen's in, the bathroom's done, decorating's complete, but before the flooring goes down. And the third snag is after the flooring is installed, because sometimes flooring contractors, they mark walls or damage finishes. So once the flooring is down, you do a final check, arrange the clean, and only then release the final payment. Don't release money until that stage is signed off, because the property is only finished once you've checked it properly. So now you know what to avoid on refurbs, how to find builders, and how not to get ripped off. But if you want your refurb to stay on budget, you first need to understand what a full refurb really costs. And in this next video, I'll break down the cost down stage by stage so you know exactly what to expect. I'll see you over there.